Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with Black Clover. Last time around, what was it called? I don't remember anymore. It was something. Hold on, let me look at my notes. There was the Dream World. Sally, Vanessa, Luck, Magna, and Charmy were all taken into the Dream World. Sally started using science against it, which seemed to be working, and they might have a way out of the Dream World. Meanwhile, Asta, Gray, Gordon, and Henry are all trying to save Ghosh and Mari, and yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much where we left off. Oh, it was the Eyes in the Mirror. That's what it was called. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much where we left off with them trying to save Ghosh. So yeah, that is pretty much that, I guess. Like always, the reaction is down in the description and in the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. So let's go ahead and jump right into this episode of Black Clover. Here we go. Oh boy. Okay, do we finally have everyone? Oh, we have everyone but Finral. He's kind of passed out right now, but we have 99% of the Black Bulls back. So good grief. And you know what? We'll add in, I mean, Kirsch is a member of the Coral Peacocks, and obviously Dorthy is right there. But I'm going to say Kirsch, Mimosa, they are now honorary members of the Black Bulls. Actually, Mimosa more than anything, because Mimosa currently doesn't have a team, a squad. Golden Dawn, well, I guess she has Yuno. That's it. It's just Yuno. So, oh boy, oh boy. Speaking of, where's Yuno? He has been MIA for like 5 episodes. I mean, we know he was going to take care of another like town that was being attacked, but we never went back to that. So, I do like, okay, 112 episodes. And it's not like this has been a big mystery, but it's always been the thing of like, all right, Dorothy is always, passed out. She's always asleep. So it's like, Dorothy is finally awake. And I do really like that she is incredibly chipper. She is like the most anime girl in this show. It is like ridiculous, but good grief. Well, I like that. And that makes sense. That makes sense. That's such a clever way of doing it, that it's like, well, they create sort of a mirage of what Dorothy looks like. So the elf, for a split second, it'll cross her mind that what if that's the human, what if that's Dorothy? And so because of that, did actually create a body within the dream world for Dorothy's soul to inhabit. And I like that. That is really clever, especially too because I was kind of thinking like, okay, if they beat her, like that is kind of a bad showing for Dorothy, where it's like, she is a Magic Knight captain being enhanced with elf magic and such. So it's like you would think they wouldn't stand a chance, but I like that. I like that they basically were clever enough to get the real Dorothy out so that she could fight. And yeah, that was interesting. And the fact that the glamour world couldn't sustain both of their dreams, so it kicked them back out pretty much at the right time for Asta to negate the magic. So yeah. We got 2 people. No, 3. We got 3 people. We saved 3 people. Ghosh, Mari, and Dorothy. And I like, too, I like that now we're getting these elves that are starting to see, that it literally is #NotAllHumans, I like that. And because, yeah, it's interesting. So we do get a bit more, finally, a bit more, that it was the royals specifically the royals specifically who killed the elves. At least that's as far as we know. Maybe there was something else, but if that is the case, I'm kind of down for that idea, because the idea we've had for a while was that, well, maybe, they've been tricked by a demon. Basically, because there was no way that the original Wizard King did this. But from what it looks like, he didn't. But it's not that they were, tricked by a demon or something, or, that set all this in motion. It's like, no, it was humans, and they have every right to be pissed. But hashtag not all humans, Hashtag not all humans. And I like that the elf, I can never remember his, it was like Drot, wasn't it? Or Droit. I think it was Droit. So I like the Droit, he doesn't go into the, exploding malice that all the other elves have gone into before Asta saves them. I like that he specifically is like, no, I can't fight like this. I can't fight you guys because you're exactly like us, Because, yeah, it's not a specific... Oh, okay, it's not a specific species, There's nothing in the genetics of humans that say, well, they want to conquer and destroy anything that's not them, And that's the thing, That's the thing. And it's interesting because it is, now with this, now that we have the context that it was the royals specifically who did this, it becomes more of a... I mean, if anything, it basically just goes back to, what we've been doing for a lot of Black Clover, which is this sort of classist debate, actually. Which is interesting because it's such a prevalent part, but I haven't even thought of that as a sort of, big point, essentially, in Black Clover, And it's interesting. I like doing it like that, where it's like, we see... Especially with the Black Bulls, it's like... And the thing is, it's not even specifically a, the poor versus the rich kind of thing. It's more a matter of humanity. It's more of a matter of, choices. It's about personality instead of just... It's not royal bad, poor good. It's, it's bad people bad, good people good, neutral people neutral, even, really, honestly, Like, that's the way to... Which, that's how life actually works. Like, I don't know. Because you can, even with that simplification of bad people bad, good people good, it's like, well, do we want to get kind of deep in this? Like, there is no good and evil, really, in the world. There are things that we label... That we label kind of after the fact as good or evil. Sometimes we label it beforehand, but still, like, the thought, if you think something, it all starts with the thought, basically, and then the label comes, even if the thought precedes an act, So if someone thinks, I'm gonna go kill someone, it is, even if they don't get to the act, it is still labeled an evil thing after the thought had already occurred, And that's kind of what it is. And here, because, yeah, it's not, well, this group of people, all royals are bad. No, that's just not the case. I mean, we have Noel, we have Mimosa, even Kirsch, he's kind of up his own ass, but he's still good. He does his job, doesn't he? He does his job. In fact, most of the Silvas, it's like they're just kind of assholes. That's really it. They're just kind of assholes, They need a good conk on the head to stop being assholes, but there you go, And even, like, I would say the king, the current king, like, I wouldn't even really call him evil. He is just kind of, he just has not gotten that moment even though it's like he has and he hasn't. It's like he's gotten moments where he's basically shown he's not top dog because Julius existed. But even still, that just pushed him further and further. But he's not really a bad guy, The people that killed Zara, they're bad guys, That is evil, you know? That is evil to do something like that, you know? So it's an interesting thing. You know, we have it is this thing of it is sort of this thing with Black Clover where it's like, well, it's slightly an us versus them, but it's not the point of a lot of this story is it's not just a defined group, it's specific people that do bad things, I suppose. If that's any way of saying it, you know, it's not just royals, you know? We even see that in the elf flashback, you know, that it's not all the royals. The princess, she was marrying Licht. She was carrying a half-elf child, you know? So they're, like, she was good, you know? So they can't be like, oh, well, all the royals, like, she died too, you know? And only now can they really see it. And again, you understand why the elves have been so mad, you know, why they're doing all of this. You understand it, but at the same time, it's like it really does take a lot to convince them the other way. So I like that. I like that we're now seeing some of these elves being like, okay, maybe, you know, maybe the humans aren't so bad. We see that with Gauche, and we see that with Dorthy. With their elves, you know, and I like that. I like that we're getting something a bit different with these elf fights, you know. So yeah, it's good. I really enjoy that. And I like that it's not just a us versus them kind of thing with this show. That it is a very there is a little bit of nuance to it, and you know, it's not all humans, not all royals, even, you know. So. And because we also see, you know, we see commoners that are also terrible people too. I mean, like, most of the forces of the Eye of the Midnight Sun, like Rades, Sally, Valtos, you know, they all went down dark paths, you know, but they're not nobles, they're not royals, you know. So it really is just it goes on an individual basis, you know. So, and I mean, yeah, you know, and we even see, you know, Gauche, who was a noble. Finral was a noble too, and he's a part of the Black Bulls. Like, there is just a difference between, you know, Finral and Langris. You know, you see how they can both basically come from the same thing, pretty much cut from the same cloth. I mean, they have different mothers, but they're basically cut from the same cloth. But even still, the two of them end up on very different sides of this, you know? So yeah, and we even see, you know, we see more nuance in, like, William, you know? William, who, yes, was born of nobility, but for a good portion, you know, at the beginning of his life, he was just cast down, you know, because of his birthmark and everything. And, you know, is only later that he is able to join the Magic Knights and become such a prominent figure, you know. Is he still technically next in line for the Wizard King, but we don't know if that's going to change or not. we have no idea if that's going to change up or not, but yeah. So, but yeah, it's a very, very interesting thing. And I also like the idea, what Droit says, you know, when he has that little moment of, you know, Licht, why, the sword, why? And they show, you know, the sword coming out of his hand and Asta grabbing it. Now, we don't really know much about this version of Licht. A lot of what we have thought about Licht is actually about Patry. And, you know, we see more of Patry in the flashbacks than we did of Licht instead. So now, and now that he's, you know, he's very quiet right now, and, you know, the most he has said was when he was talking to Raya, and he said, that grimoire no longer belongs to me, you know? Asta's grimoire is Asta's. It's no longer Licht's. And it's an interesting thing, even though he can still use the swords. He currently has the Demon Dweller sword, but those swords can be interchanged between the two of them, which is interesting. So now, because of that, it is put it in my head, what if that was the plan? You know? What if... Maybe this whole thing, because Licht was the one who used the forbidden magic in order to reincarnate all the elves, which it's interesting. How the hell does he know how to do that, It's interesting because forbidden magic seems to be a different sect from whatever your normal magic is, It's a different thing you can access. I mean, I'm sure it's incredibly difficult, but it's a different thing to access than whatever your magic is, which for Licht, that was his sword magic, Patry is the same way, where Patry, he can use the forbidden magic, but he also has light magic, So maybe if this was all a plan, I'm wondering, did he purposefully let go of the Demon Destroyer sword so that Asta could take it? Because that is the thing that can stop the elves, Nothing else. The other two swords can't even do that. Only the Demon Destroyer sword can do that. So it almost makes you wonder, did he do that on purpose? Did he purposefully drop the Demon Destroyer sword so that Asta could take it and defeat the elves? Now, if that's the case, why did he do that, Why would he do that? Was it to save them? Or, does he not agree with this? But he's the one who cast the forbidden magic to reincarnate all of the elves, So now, tinfoil hat. My idea, my current theory is that Licht performed the reincarnation magic, which, yes, is dangerous. Very, very dangerous. It has amplified all the malice of the elves, and because of their reincarnation, many people have died because of it. But he did it in order for the elves to potentially be defeated when they reincarnate, so that all of their souls can be at rest. Now that's dangerous, and it's a bit of a stretch. It's a slight bit of a stretch, but that's kind of my current theory, is that maybe he did this because the elves were not going to, their souls were never going to be at peace because of this, And that is a big deal. That is a very big deal with this show, because souls exist in this show. And, very clearly they would not be able to rest. And so far, every soul that Asta has saved has gone to its own peace, It has gone to rest in peace. So I'm wondering if maybe that's it, that he knew the elves would never rest. Their souls would never be at peace if they had simply died there. So he used this with the hope. Maybe he also knew that the Demon Destroyer sword would undo this. So maybe, because if this started a chain of events, and maybe that's why. I mean, because it's awfully convenient, obviously, that obviously there must be something going on as to why did they reincarnate now? 500 years later, they reincarnated now, starting with Patry. They reincarnated now, basically at the exact same time that Asta receives Licht's grimoire. The fact that it is Licht's original grimoire, obviously it can't be a coincidence, Now, does it fully go for, well, maybe Asta was born specifically for this, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. We'd have to see. I guess it could be possible. Maybe Asta was born at the same time that Patry was reborn in William. Because William was he a teenager at that point? Was he a part of the Magic Knights by then? Might have been. I guess it depends on how old William is. He might not be that much older than... I mean, I think he is older, but he might be 10, 12 years older than Asta is. And Asta currently is about... Well, originally he's 15, but I would say he's probably around 16 by now. So that it might not be exact, But that could be something where it's maybe Asta and Patry were basically born at the same time, which sort of sets all of these things in motion. You have the person who would bring back the elves, Patry, as well as the person who would defeat them, Asta, the boy with no magic. A boy who eventually, when he would get his grimoire, eventually would get Licht's grimoire. The grimoire, the swords that only he could wield, you know, and the swords that only he could use to stop the elves, you know. Maybe. Those are kind of my theories right now. The only other thing to mention is Droit saying, it's an awfully convenient thing, this thing that just completely undoes everything. And it's like, well, will that have consequences? And that's an interesting thing, It's like, this isn't just a complete undo, Like, all of this stuff happened. This isn't just hitting Control Z a bunch of times. And even then, I mean, there are times where, if you're, like, working on something and you, like, Control Z a lot, at a point, it's just going to be like, we can't do it anymore. We can't undo anymore, There will always be consequences. So, we'll just have to see what that entails. Whew. That was actually a rather in-depth discussion we've had there. We haven't been doing a ton of those lately on Black Clover, but honestly, I just kind of looked down and I was like, oh yeah, I still have to record the next episode, so I better get to that. But yeah, really good episode, and I'm really excited to see where we are going from here. But that is basically it. With all of that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of my Black Clover reactions, as well as another video you can go and click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.